La gente en Estados Unidos está absolutamente furiosa, y el epicentro de esta furia, aunque parece más una competencia por el primer lugar, es lo que está sucediendo con Susan Collins en Maine. No ha realizado una asamblea pública en más de 20 años, y está tan preocupada, tan molesta, mientras destruye la vida de las personas allí. Se hace pasar por moderada, pero realmente no lo es. Solo tienes que ver cómo la reciben mientras recorre el estado. Miren, por favor.
All the town hall! All the town hall!
Sí, tiene sentido porque ni siquiera habla con sus propios electores sobre lo que está haciendo. ¿Para quién trabaja si no es para Donald Trump, aunque pretenda que no? Mira, hay miles, decenas de miles de residentes de Maine, por suerte siguen teniendo un poco de cobertura médica a través del plan Affordable Care. Todo esto después del desastroso proyecto de ley presupuestario de Donald Trump. Y ellos están a punto de ver cómo sus primas se aumentan de una forma abrumante. Porque sí, las primas se van a aumentar entre un 75 y un 80%. Todo esto como resultado de lo que está haciendo Susan Collins, los republicanos MAGA y obviamente Donald Trump. Ellos ni siquiera ocultan que su objetivo es ayudar a los multimillonarios y asegurarse de que los créditos fiscales del Affordable Care expiren, que tus primas suban significativamente. Mira el clip, por favor.
Mainers insured through the Affordable Care Act could see their premiums skyrocket if congressional Republicans take away enhanced premium tax credits. The Maine Democratic Party and the group End Citizens United both say 50,000 Mainers could see a dramatic increase in premium costs if the credits aren't extended. Without those credits, the Congressional Budget Office says their premiums will increase by an average of 75%. A business owner and mother insured through the ACA marketplace since 2016 says if this goes through, it would be devastating for her family.
It's, just kind of unconscionable to me to think about eliminating the earned tax credit to provide billionaires with tax breaks when, there are 116,000 Mainers who should have health care.
She says if premiums go up thousands of dollars, she would not be able to afford health insurance. End Citizens United called on Senator Susan Collins for voting against a Democrat-backed bill last week that would extend those enhanced ACA.
Quiero decir, es absolutamente inconcebible. No sé qué otra palabra utilizar. Y al mismo tiempo tienes a Susan Collins, como todos los miembros republicanos de Donald Trump, apoyando a estos jueces respaldados por Donald Trump, que dicen que el tipo tiene inmunidad absoluta, y dicen que él puede hacer lo que él quiera. Donald Trump se despierta un día cualquiera y dice: le voy a poner aranceles a las películas creadas en el extranjero. Voy a ponerle aranceles a los muebles. Básicamente ya no hay Corte Suprema, ya no hay nadie que lo limite. Mira este clip para que lo entiendas mejor, por favor.
Several Maine advocacy groups and Planned Parenthood of New England officials are urging Maine's U.S. senators to vote against Trump's nominee for the U.S. Court of Appeals. They'll be holding a press conference later this morning to speak about the issue. They say Trump's pick, Joshua Dunlap, is an ally of right-wing legal causes. He has a record of opposing reproductive freedom, marriage equality, separation of church and state, and economic and climate justice. But Senator Susan Collins has already issued a statement on Dunlap, calling him well qualified and an excellent...
La gente en Maine es muy buena. Todo lo que yo he escuchado sobre este juez de Maine representa exactamente lo opuesto a lo que representan las personas de Maine. Pero te mostraré quiénes son realmente los habitantes de Maine. Están apareciendo incluso cuando Susan Collins no realiza las asambleas públicas. Ella quiere aparecerse en ceremonias de cortes de cintas. Y así es como suele ser recibida. Mira, por favor. Así es, quiero que veas esta entrevista de Dan Cleveland, candidato demócrata al Senado por Maine. Dan también es propietario y fundador de Maine Beer, el cual ve de primera mano lo que está ocurriendo con la gente dentro de Maine, y habla sobre el panorama político actual de la ciudad.
People, like your intro teed up very nicely, people are frankly pissed off. They don't see folks down in Washington, D.C. That are looking out for them. I know as much as Susan Collins expresses disappointment and concern, I think people are beyond disappointment and concern over her up here. They're pissed. They don't feel like she has their backs anymore. As you laid out very well, the cost of healthcare continues to skyrocket. That's if you have access to it. The Republican budget bill is going to, take tens of thousands of Mainers off of Medicaid up here. The ACA credits are due to expire. The cost for individuals and small businesses is going to skyrocket. People, I go down to my tasting room at the brewery and I talk to young folks. They've given up on even owning a home. That's not the America that I grew up with. It's not the America or Maine that I want my kids to grow up in. And Susan Collins has been in DC for almost 30 years. People's lives aren't any better. And, she's kind of just always there when you don't need her.
You and I share something in common. We're both recovering lawyers. After the Great Recession back in 2008, 2009, you started the Maine Beer Company out of your garage, basically, and it grew into this business where you now employ hundreds of people in Maine. During the COVID crisis caused by Trump's complete mishandling of everything and the recession and everyone being in their homes, I created this entity and built this business up. But as a business owner, though, from what you even saw back in the recession in 2009, what made you start the business, what you're seeing right now, talk to us about the conditions just you're seeing on the ground, because to me, all these manufacturing metrics, everything I see that affects regular folk is going down, 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 down in like such an obvious bad way. But then I see at the billionaire level, them getting all these handouts from the White House, and they look like they're doing great. And there's this crazy disparity taking place right now. As Trump says, it's a golden age. So do you see it's a golden age for the American people in Maine?
The golden age for the people here in Maine is certainly not a golden age for small business owners like myself. One of the cruel ironies of the Trump administration is, he came in promising to lower costs and, make the economy better, make it easy to run a small business. And it's become nothing but more difficult. You can start with the haphazard and reckless tariff policy. They're on again one day, off again the next day. They're 100% one day. They're 50% the next day. Like the amount of uncertainty that injects into my ability to plan here at Maine Beer Company. If I want to hire more people or I want to invest in more fermenters to make more beer, I don't know what the costs are going to be that are associated with that. So it's been completely reckless. Congress has completely, just handed over the keys to tariff policy to the administration. Susan Collins could demand that Congress, take back control of that. Of course, she doesn't. And so, I just like, 16 years ago after I got laid off during the Great Recession, and I looked around and I was pissed. I got laid off. I played by the rules. I worked my ass off. And I was left, footing the bill along with hundreds of thousands of other Americans while, some reckless speculators got off scot-free. And I look down at Washington, D.C. today, and the same shit's going on. The only businesses that are succeeding right now are those that can pay to play. If you can pay for a meeting with the Trump administration in the White House, like we saw all the tech, billionaires just a week or two ago do and kiss the ring, then you're probably going to be fine. But it's mom and pop businesses like mine. We don't have the resources to do that. And we're getting crushed. And what's Susan Collins doing to give us some relief? Not much.
I also know a lot of those tech billionaires, they kind of just follow him around now, kind of like groupies, right? So like that same crew that was there at the inauguration, like always at the White House. But even when he did that trip to the UK where they drove him around in the golden carriage, it wasn't really reported, but like all those people just like they show up and they travel because I think they realize who's ever in his ear last gets what they want. So they're all there, like just like constantly following him. Hey, we need this. We need this. What can I give you? What can I give you? One of the things that he keeps on saying is that he's eliminated inflation. And that everything is great and that he actually solved the affordability issue. He'll go up in public and he'll give speeches where he says, I've solved inflation. Grocery prices are low. Gas is under $2. I've brought in $17 trillion. He says the tariffs are so, even though we ran a $2 trillion fiscal deficit for the last fiscal year, he goes $17 trillion. I mean, it's such an obvious Ponzi scheme of, going on before our face. Do you think, because look, Susan Collins is a Republican, so there is a streak amongst people in Maine, Mainers, to vote across, at different parties sometimes. So have you seen a change? Have you seen shifting sentiments there, or what are you seeing on the ground?
Yeah, you are seeing. I mean, I'm talking to folks, across this state, and her politics just aren't up for the moment. Again, I think people are sick and tired of her only, like I said, she's always there when you don't need her. She with this awful, cruel Republican budget bill, she voted to, advance it to the floor. And I know that's kind of inside DC politics, but she could have, she said in 2020, she said, send me back to the Senate because I'm in line to be the all powerful chair of the Appropriations Committee. How is she wielding that power? She's not. She could, but she doesn't. Because she doesn't have the spine. And people here, at the end of the day, like we started at the beginning of this conversation, people are hurting and they're sick of her just kind of performative politics. The cost of living up here is doing nothing but getting higher and higher. Home prices have doubled in the last 10 years. Our rural healthcare system's being decimated. We've lost 10 birthing centers in the state. We've lost 10 nursing homes. My mother-in-law owned one in a rural coastal community in Lubec, Maine. They had to shut down 10 years ago because reimbursement rates couldn't keep the lights on. I mean, there's just this total disconnect between DC and Maine. And I think what Mainers want is someone like myself who's rooted in their community, who's creating jobs, who goes down at the end of the day and shares a beer with people in my community, learns what's on their minds, what keeps them up at night, and maybe even like what good ideas they have for folks down in DC. And, Susan Collins, she's just not up for the job anymore.
Before we go, tell people where they can learn more about your campaign and also give your, I wouldn't say closing message, but it's a crowded primary. Give more people maybe jumping in. Give your message to our 6 million subscribers about why you're the person for this job and where they can learn more about your campaign. Yeah,
danformaine.com is where you can go to learn more about the campaign. And look, Ben, I'll leave you with this. I understand people are hurting up here. They're sick and tired of the performative politics that go on in DC. People, they don't feel like they're being listened to. So my pledge to the folks of the state of Maine, as someone who started a small business, who's raising a family, is I'm going to go to every corner of the state and I'm going to listen. I'm going to listen to you. I'm going to treat everybody with respect. And I'm going to, if elected, I'm going to go down to Washington, D.C. and take a common sense, practical approach to politics that's actually focused on getting shit done. I'm a get shit done Democrat. And I'm not worried about clickbait or airtime on TV. I'm worried about lowering the cost of living for every single Mainer. And that's my promise to the folks in Maine.
Y bueno amigos, llegamos al final del video, espero que les haya gustado. Si fue así, les agradecería de todo corazón que me lo hagan saber en los comentarios. Además, si el video les gustó, les va a encantar suscribirse al canal, ya que subo videos así todos los días. Mi nombre es José Alvarado, soy economista y estoy comprometido a informarte diariamente. Nos vemos en el siguiente video. Adiós.